Hi, guys. Welcome to yet another edition of Balloonhead Live. I'm your host, Marcelo Nostroza, and on today's edition, I'll be discussing Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 5, entitled Spock Amok. All right, guys. So, this episode largely picks up from the Gorn incident last week, in which the Enterprise is docked at one of the oldest space stations in Starfleet, Space Station 1, going over some repairs. And basically, the entire crew is on shore leave. And Spock takes this opportunity to sort of invite his fiance to the Enterprise to sort of reconnect with each other and sort of apologize for leaving her high and dry on her wedding night. And meanwhile, number one and Laan get up to some hijinks when they find some crew members trying to complete a specific challenge known to a few select people on the Enterprise. And Pike is trying to secure a treaty with a race of aliens that have a large control over a specific area of space that the Romulans and I believe the Klingons or the Tellarites want. So that's what's basically going on. And I was really disappointed with this episode, um, in large part because my first number one pet peeve is why the hell is a ensign in a meeting with Pike and Spock, uh, discussing the potential support from an alien race that has large control over a specific area of space that have to do with the Romulans and the Klingons. I feel that this series has been very, very disrespectful to the character of number one, because in a lot of scenes where number one is the second highest ranked officer on the goddamn ship, and she's never there with Pike in meetings that I believe that she should be there. She should have totally been with Pike. She should have been attached to his hip during all the negotiation process dealing with this specific alien race. But instead of her, it was fucking Uhura taking minutes. What was the point of that? That was useless. That was absolutely useless. Now, you could have had Laan with Uhura. I would have accepted that. But Uhura didn't need to be there one iota. It was completely useless for her to be there taking fucking notes. She didn't even learn anything. What did she learn? Nothing. So I really don't understand the writers need to sort of separate number one from Pike. I don't like the way that the writers are handling that relationship. I really don't. And the whole Spock and T'Pring thing. Well, essentially, it's Spock trying to apologize for leaving T'Pring on Vulcan when Pike called him because Una got in trouble with this alien race that we saw in episode one. And I really didn't find their interactions really impressive at all. Nothing really stuck out to me. The thing that I thought the writers were going for was they wanted to sort of show Spock what it's like to be in the body of T'Pring, and they wanted to show T'Pring what it's like to be in the body of Spock. But when they did the switch over, they really didn't show T'Pring working in the body of Spock, or they didn't really show Spock working in the body of the Pring. In that one scene where Spock as the Pring met like a delegate or something, they have a quick conversation and have no fucking where Spock as the Pring punches the guy in the face. Now, is that the work of is that the work of a diplomat? No, that is the work of an asinine, dumb character decision. That was asinine. It made no fucking sense whatsoever. Like, I don't understand what it's like. The writers in this episode, chose concept, but they forgot the most important thing: setup and payoff. It's like in this episode, the writer said, "Oh, we got a bag full of concepts, and this should be good for this should be good enough for for an hour of sci-fi television," but it's not. You have to introduce a concept, introduce problems, and then have your characters walk through that little maze that you create until they come up with a solution that makes sense from a character standpoint. The writing in this episode was so bad and it was so poorly executed. I'm like, really? Come on, guys. I I expect better from my Star Trek. I deserve better. Um, no, and like I did, I did like the quick interactions between Chapel and Spock for a little bit. I did like the um we got a little insight into Chapel's sort of into Chapel's sort of milieu. I got the sense that she doesn't particularly like commitment. That's why she sort of abandoned that guy once she saw Spock eating in the mess hall. And so I did like those little quick interactions. I didn't like Chapel. I did like the chemistry between Chapel and Erica, but I was like, okay, what's the purpose of this? Where are we going with this? It doesn't make any sense. Sending, Mbanga on a fishing trip, okay, but what's the purpose of this in the grander story? Like if he has no function, why have him in the episode? You're like, because he's a main character and we have to make him do something. All right, but fine. But again, I expect better. Um, yeah, there were various parts of this episode that were supposed to be funny, but I believe in the words, I believe that the people who actually wrote the writers who actually wrote this episode think that they're funny, but they're really not because none of the setup jokes in this episode really landed for me at all. It was just, crickets basically. The entire episode. Um, Seeing Laan and number one, walk on the hall to complete some stupid game called Enterprise Bingo, like so fucking stupid. Yeah, that was fine. Whatever, I guess. But listen, the other issue that I have with this episode is that this episode would have functioned better in season 2 after the characters or the actors got to grow in their characters a little bit more. And if this episode came after like a traumatic event in season 2, this episode would have been earned. And this would have served as a breather for the characters and for the audience. But this early on in the Run of Strange New Worlds, this episode was not earned at all. It was just given to us for no apparent reason at all. And the story structure in this episode was completely awful. It was like they just threw some shit at the board and expected it to solve itself. Um yeah, like I did not well, yeah, I'm not gonna look, I'm not gonna belay my point anymore, but all I'm gonna say here is moving forward, I expect more from the creative individuals who are working on Strange New Worlds. But that's pretty much it for me to you for now, as I forgot to do something, as always. But in the comments below, if you saw this episode, tell me what you liked about it, tell me what you didn't like about it. But until next time, as always, I'll see you when I see you.
So much happened here, and so much is about to.